What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 60 of the Segment Podcast. I'm out here with Joey Yates, Uncaged MTB, and we have some great folks backstage for you. You guys have probably all seen the YouTube of the Wreckless Riders, Tommy and his crew just going big. And, it's Tommy, it's Big Booty Chris, it's Mario. Those guys are awesome. And Adam is with them. But tonight we have Mario and we have Tommy, and really wanted to just dive into who are the Wreckless Riders and specifically try to gain some motivation, inspiration from these boys. So we were bringing them out in a few seconds, but man, Joey, look at all the folks that we have in the audience already. I love this.
They're already back. They're waiting.
Yeah, they are. They are. But look at what's up to Timothy Haley. Happy belated birthday to you, bro. I know this was your birthday this weekend. Look who else is on the line. Mr. Podium is here.
Nice. Way to go, Blair.
Yeah. Congratulations, Blair, at Velocity today, taking third on the race day. Air Blair, the legends, Tommy and Mario. This is going to be a good one. Welcome aboard. We got Alpha MTB. What's up, Alpha? Alpha's out here. Always good to see Alpha. And check out Alpha MTB's new logo. I love that logo.
That is great.
That is pretty sick. We also got Huntin' Steeps in here. He says, hello, everyone. Nice, man. I like that picture of the sunset. We got Crisco Bike. What's up, Ace, out of Idaho? Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Craig, what's up, MTB Raging? So, funny story about Craig. In the Vail races today, he was racing the e-bike division, and he dropped in on his stage and was pedaling down. I think it was, remind me, was it Rocky Top or was it Ladders, your first stage? And he was just pumping through, and he's like, damn, the bike feels heavy. The bike was off. 50 pounds of decoy.
Oh, man.
Shredding down the mountain.
Whoops.
But yeah, he found a safe spot to pull over and turn that puppy back on. He was back in it. Man. Chad Conrad, what's up? What's up? Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. So, Joey, man, you and I have seen a lot of the Wreckless Riders videos. These guys freaking send it. And what you guys see on screen, if you don't live in this area, what you see on screen is gnarly. But when you go to the actual place, I mean, Joey, tell them, what's it look like?
It's nuts. So every week when I watch their videos, it's like, I can't go more than this. And then the next week they do something even crazier. It's like, these guys are nuts. I love it.
Love it. I love it. They're always sending great stuff. And then we'll talk about too Don Zabo's crash. If we can get into that, that'd be great. That was
Zabo. Can't sleep on the trails.
I know. Yeah, that was scary. That was super scary.
Was nuts.
What's up, Frankie? Good to see you, Frankie. All right. So without further ado, let's bring on the first guest of the Wreckless Riders. Let's bring out Tommy, shall we, Joey?
All right. Throwing him on.
Yo, Tommy.
What's up?
What's up, baby? Good to see you, man.
Likewise. My voice is kind of messed up, so I apologize. I'll do best I can today.
Tommy's been great, you guys. He was feeling under the weather, but wanted to still make the show go on tonight for all you guys. So, Tommy, thank you for being here, man. Always appreciate you.
For sure.
So
glad to be here.
So, Tommy, business is good. The restaurant's doing good. For those of you who don't know, Tommy owns Monarch Nine, which is some delicious Vietnamese food, and it is actually the number one base. If you look at ratings for Vietnamese restaurants, Tommy's restaurant is number one in Orange County, which is unheard of. That is like so hard to do. I don't know how many restaurants you had to beat out to take that top spot, but congratulations to you on that, brother.
Thank you. Like fun fact, Orange County has the most Vietnamese restaurants in the world outside of Vietnam. So It's a huge honor to be nominated as best Vietnamese restaurant. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
And the food is so damn good.
So good. I ate there like 3 months ago for the first time, and it was actually my first time ever eating Vietnamese food, and I'm hooked. It's healthy and so good.
It's fun because Monarch Nine, if you guys have eaten there, you know how good it is, and you know that It doesn't matter if you're 50 miles away, 100 miles away, 150 miles away. If your car is somewhat in the vicinity of Monarch 9, you're always looking at how you're going to be able to make a stop there and get some of that delicious food. And I mean, most of the time, if you go out there, Tommy is there, and you get to say hi to Tommy, get a pic with Tommy, and talk mountain biking while you're eating some amazing food. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Every day except for today. Like today's actually probably the first day I've missed that I could remember. I never missed a day of work, but today I wasn't feeling well, and it wasn't that I couldn't work, but I just didn't want to go in work if I'm sick. Just I didn't want to spread anything, so I just stayed home. Yeah.
Yeah, taking precautions. That is awesome.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, man, responsible, good choices, good paths to take, always good. MTB Raging says his shaken beef spring rolls are mind blowing, dude. I know. I also shaken beef with extra beef, you guys. Good Lord, after a good ride, that is dang good. So Tommy, let's you obviously you have this successful restaurant, and you're doing so good on it, but how crazy was it when the pandemic started? Did it highly affect your business like
Yeah,
most other businesses?
big time. I think our sales revenue, like it got the first month got cut more than 50%. Like
Holy
yeah,
cow.
it was a huge like it infected us like so bad. And because we were always the restaurant before that, I would say like 95% of our business was dine-in, and we had very, very, very little takeout. And when the pandemic first hit, they shut down all the restaurants, so we could only rely on takeout. So that first month it was so bad, but then eventually people started, doing takeout, and it really helped. But definitely the mountain biking community was a huge. They supported us big time. A lot of times the guys would show up, and sometimes they'll just eat in the truck or whatever. We didn't have the patio set up at the beginning. Like it took me like about a month to get the patio set up. But then some guys would go riding and then just like eat on the tailgate of the truck or whatever. So it was really cool to see the mountain bike community like come and support. Obviously, since then, I get like a ton of mountain bikers that come in and help support it. When I first opened up, I didn't even never really talked about the restaurant for whatever reason. Like I felt really weird. Like I felt like kind of like tacky if I were to like throw out my business on my mountain biking channel. But a lot of people kept telling me it's kind of like you're stupid not to do that. Like because you have a restaurant, you want people to try it, and if you have a platform, you should, you know, advertise on it,
Yeah.
and you'll be surprised. I mean, that was really, really good advice. It's actually the Don. He's the owner of he owns a motocross magazine, and he was just eating there, and he heard my voice. I was talking to the table behind him. He turned around and he waited for me to finish, and then he's like, "Are you Tommy from YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah." So, dude, I recognize your voice, but I don't know what you look like. He's like, "I never knew what you look like because I only hear your voice through the
Oh, the POV shots. Yeah.
yeah." Because back in the day, early on in my videos, I never talked to the camera, like petrified of stuff like that, you know. So it was always point of view,
Oh,
you know.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, but he was one of the first people that told me and encouraged me to like advertise. He's like, "Your food's so bomb, and you need to advertise." You know.
Yeah. And what did you do? How did you advertise when you well, actually, before we start dropping into to this part of the show, I definitely wanted to bring on Mario because you can't drop in solo on these
Yeah.
shows. But I also wanted to say thank you so much to MTV Raging. You got a $9.99 super sticker coming in from MTV Raging. He says OC local businesses. That is Craig Atkinson, who just hooked you up with some money there. So that'll be coming your way. We also got Arizona is in the house. Right and Dirty is here. Eric says, "Yo, yo, yo, what up, broski?" So awesome writer. This guy Eric is so cool. We got producer Debbie Keo is in the house. What's up? What's up, y'all? Good to see you. And the bomber crew, the big bomber crew is here. They need to go check out the restaurant, dude. Tommy, how many seats do you have at the restaurant? Because the bomber crew comes out big, like.
We got like we have quite a few now with the patio open. I've had like pretty large parties in the patio. Like I've done a couple of different baptisms, birthdays, and stuff like that. But we could fit about 50 people in the patio,
There
and
you go.
about probably like 50 to 60 people inside the restaurant.
There you
So
go. So over 100 people.
yeah,
Bomber crew, you guys could fill up that whole place, man. After a ride, you gotta check it out. I promise you, you will thank us later. Let's bring in one of your squad mates, Mr. Mario, to help you drop into this episode. Mario, let's bring you up here. What's
Hey,
up,
what's up,
Mario?
guys?
Good to see you, bro.
What's up? Thank you,
is that
thank you.
Mario?
Welcome.
Ye-
What's up, T?
Yeah.
What's up, guys?
What's happening, brother? Dude, so obviously I'm a big fan of the show,
All right.
of the Wreckless Riders and what you guys do and your skill set. And
Thank you, thank you.
it's freaking amazing what you
Awesome.
guys do. And by the way, how is your I think it was your finger. Was it Tommy, was it his finger?
Ah, yeah, we're good. You know, we're good. Still the joints and things that take the longest, but that's part of the game. You know, battle
Yeah.
through it. It's okay.
Yeah. I
Thank
mean, seeing it on the trail on camera and then having you pedal
that's
out there was like, holy cow, Mario. I mean, that trail was that was
right
gnarly. What
for
was
sure.
that trail, Tommy? Where were you guys at?
We were in LA, Area 51.
Oh yeah,
When
okay.
he's dislocated his finger, it was nasty looking, dude. I was like, well, I want to throw up when I saw that shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. It was pretty. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
I was in shock. That shit was fucked up.
Oh, yeah. Didn't
Oh,
feel the pain till after first.
yeah. That looked like a long day,
So,
man. You had
Yeah.
to get out and get to the hospital and get it all fixed up and
Deuces. Yeah, I got my nickname that day.
Deuces, he left, man. Mario, what happened? I think his call me had dropped. But yeah, so Mario, we'll get Mario back on the show. Tommy, Bomber Crew says, let's do it. Let's do it. Literally, Tommy, these guys, it's a veterans group and they roll big, like 50 to 100 people. Maybe should they call up ahead of time if they're bringing a big squad?
Well, yeah, ideally that'd be best. That way I could reserve like the tables together, whatever.
Yeah.
For sure. Like if it's a big group, yeah, it'd be best. Yeah.
Awesome. I hope you guys, they're so organized, the Bomber Crew. They'll have like a group ride somewhere and they most likely will just reach out to you and say, hey, we're coming up this Saturday. It's right here. We're coming to you right afterwards or something like that. So
That'd be cool.
that would be awesome. Awesome. And let's see, who else do we have? So here's Mario. We got Mario back. Bringing Mario back. Oh, there he is. What's up, Mario?
I forgot to pay my Wi-Fi bill. Sorry, guys.
you said I got Deuces as my nickname, and then you left. I thought you were saying
I'm
goodbye.
using my neighbor's hotspot. I'm on the neighbor's hotspot.
Man.
Everything goes bad. Sorry about that.
No worries,
Yeah.
brother. No worries.
Oh,
It's
man.
awesome. So that day when you dislocated your fingers, did you know right away that something was off, something was wrong?
You know what? I did not. I had so much adrenaline. The only thing is, I just followed in as usual. I was riding blind, just trying to keep up with the squad as usual. You know, that's what makes you better, right? And it was probably at that moment a little out of my skill set. I've been to Haynes. I just never been down that part before, and it just, like I said, but it was okay. I don't blame nobody. You know, no regrets.
Yeah.
No
Well, you're a talented
regrets.
writer, man. When I see you guys go down, I'm like, well, I'll check that off my list. I'm not going to be going there anytime soon.
I definitely learned from every bad crash, though. Like I said, I mean, I'm new to this sport. I'm familiar with bikes all my life, but to this enduro thing, I think it all to the Wreckless Riders. They're a solid crew. Owe it all to them, of course, definitely.
Dang, I would not have guessed that you were new to the sport or newer to the sport.
Definitely.
Good grief. But
Yeah.
I also know I rode with Tommy at Summit last season, and I got one day in with Tommy, but he's such a great teacher. He'd always tell me like everything that was gonna come up, like kind of the speed that you need, and if he could see that I was doubting myself, which was majority of the day, he'd Tom be like, all right, let's just go look at it, man. Let's just go look at it.
Exactly. Yeah, he's good at reading people.
Yeah, I'm big on that because I'm like the type of guy that I like to look at stuff. I need to be comfortable. Chris is more of the guy that likes to try stuff, just do stuff on the fly. Look, just go blind. I just can't. I've hurt myself so many times following Chris on stuff that now like I just want to make sure that, especially if I'm riding with somebody, I want to make sure they don't get hurt on my watch. So I'm like, I always play it safe. It's just always better safe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And you guys are progressing like crazy by that. And I know, the title, it says Wreckless Riders. And sometimes I think people get the wrong idea when they're seeing the videos because they just see how you guys send things, but they're not there when you're actually filming and taking the safety precautions and really taking in information.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love that you guys do that, but yeah, loving the videos are just so sick. Mario, how long have you been riding?
3 years. 3 years, dude.
Good
3 years,
Lord.
yeah.
Dang.
Definitely progressed a whole lot. Like I said, we tried, safety first, of course, and everything. But once you're out there, you got the adrenaline. You know what your skill set is, and sometimes you have to just push it. And you say it's just part of it's part of the game. But you will not progress. I'll tell you that much. You will not learn. You will not learn just by not, letting them hang and going for it sometimes.
Yeah. No, you're right. Definitely. You got to see what you're made of and push it safely, but push towards the end of that safety zone so you can progress, which you guys are doing all the time. And now how did the Wreckless Riders squad become what it is today? Did it start with you, Tommy, or did it start with Chris, or how did it all get together?
Well, basically that's kind of like my thing, but so all the guys I ride with, all people that pretty much I met through the sport. Mario I met at my restaurant. Like he came in after he rode, I want to say Greer or somewhere, and he stopped by to say what's up. I know that I saw Mario or his buddy at Summit once or something, but I met him officially at my restaurant, and we went out and ride. I mean, I met but Chris I met at Mount Wilson. Like pretty much everybody that I ride with are guys. Most of them that I met riding,
God.
And so like it's more than just like, it's just like you just click with certain people. Like Marlon's like a brother to me. Like the guy's cool as hell. And we have a lot of things in common.
Just in 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in 3 years, it feels like it feels like 10.
Yeah. We talk about a lot of personal shit, but I used to live in Long Beach. Marlo is in San Pedro, so we used to do a lot of carpooling back then. So we would have a lot of hours in the car just shooting shit.
Long drives.
So yeah.
God.
Mm-hmm.
MTV Desert Rat is saying here, no carbon parts are safe with these dudes.
Yeah. I know it's been an expensive few months, man.
When it comes to that, are you guys? What's your thoughts on the carbon parts? Are you guys going to change it off of carbon, or are you guys going to stay with carbon?
Well, I'll go first, and Mario can he can say whatever he wants to say. But with me, like, I'm okay with carbon. I've cracked now, like I think 4 carbon frames.
Whoa.
And I cracked 4 carbon rims. I was over carbon rims before, just to like I cracked so many, and I've been off of them for like 3 years now. I got back on them. I kind of knew getting back on them, I eventually crack them. But even when I was riding aluminum rims, I still would bend them and things like that. With carbon rims, I'm still gonna ride them just because. Well, one, it's a lifetime warranty, so I don't have to worry about that. But 2, the way that they fell, it's not like an injury. Like they didn't explode or taco or anything. Like they cracked, and basically I was still able to ride out. But my day was done. If I had an aluminum rim on that day, I'm pretty sure same thing would have happened. It would have cracked. Might have even tacoed. It was a really bad case. Same thing with the frame. Like I've cracked a bunch of frames, and most of them I was able to ride for weeks after I cracked it, waiting for the warranty situation to be done with. the bars though, I've always got freaked out about bars, and I've never seen it break in front of me. But when I saw Mario's bars break, and it sliced like the tip of his fingers, and if it would have got something like his arm or his chest or something, it could have been way worse. So that always freaks me out, and I'm not gonna do carbon bars in the future. Like I don't know if I'm gonna go as far as like taking off the carbon bars that I already have on and putting on a little aluminum, but I wouldn't upgrade to put on carbon bars in the future. I don't think. Like I don't really feel comfortable anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just not my personal thing, you know.
Yeah. No, that's good from your experience out on the trails, and you definitely put your bike through some heavy stuff. And that episode was sketchy. Again, was that Area 51 where that happened to Mario with the bars?
Yes.
Bro, when oh my gosh, that like literally just snapped right off. If for folks
You
who
should have
haven't
heard the noise. The noise was amazing.
was it
The noise,
loud?
yeah, it was loud. It was loud.
Holy
It was
cow.
loud. And I forgot my gloves at the bottom of the car too. I had no gloves that day.
Oh
But it was
man.
loud. Yeah, it was loud.
Man.
Lucky for they warranted there were Envies M7s at that. Still snapped.
Dang. Now you were going off of the jumps, and after the rains, it looked like the trailbuilders there, or who are awesome, they built those jumps up, so they were big. And when you hit the way that you hit, did you feel, was it a heavy impact, or did it feel like a normal type of casing, or?
No, instantly I already knew I had just jacked up. Well, about 2 weeks prior to that, I had seen the new features. I went with one of my other buddies, and I hit them not clean. They were ugly, but I hit them without casing. And this time, I just happened to get confused, and prior to that, like 5 minutes prior to that, we had just sent them off, right? When Tommy cracked his rim. I had cleared all of them, and then we went back up to session and put the cameras on, and something just, I'm good for that. You can ask Tommy. My mind is all over the place, and I just got confused on it. I just sketched out and feathered out, and I knew it was in my front casing. A lot of pressure on the front suspension, snapped the bars. Yeah,
Man,
not pretty.
I'm so glad that where it broke, it didn't get part of your arm, as your arm was like
I was
passing.
worried about the neck more than anything. Food face or not, the neck was exposed. But yes, I've heard stories with the arm. I know.
Oh, geez,
that was nasty.
That would have been awful.
Nasty. Yeah.
Dang.
It's sharp. I mean, it's just even like when I was like grabbing his bars and moving it, like I felt it's super sharp. Like the carbon fiber, when it breaks, it's like freaking like razor sharp. It's so sharp. I was like, damn. Like it kind of if it's gonna you'll cut you like so easily. It's super sharp. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it surprised me how sharp it was.
Yeah, that would be sketchy. Mario, are you thinking? Did you go back to carbon after that?
Since they warranted them, they're actually en route now in the mail, but everything's back ordered. So my local shop did do that for me. I don't know if I'm gonna throw them back on, dude. Right now, a good buddy of mine gave me some aluminums, some E13s, I believe. And I don't feel a good difference. If you have a good front suspension, you really don't need the carbon unless you're, into weight. But nowadays, I don't think I'll be going back to carbon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's scary.
The bars, at least. Yeah, that was a good warning.
Yeah, that was good call on that. Good warning on that. Yeah, we have a lot of folks in the audience that are saying, I'm scared of carbon. I see Bomber Crew, I'm scared of carbon. MTB Desert Rat says that was scary. No carbon parts are safe with like heavy riders. It's just
exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. What about Big Booty Chris? I know he's not on the show tonight. He couldn't make it, but what does he think on the carbon?
Well, it's funny because he's 100% against carbon rims. He's cracked so many too, so he's giving me shit about getting the carbon rims. But I always told him about his because my bike is about 1.5 years, and I've already replaced my bars 3 times just because I get freaked out. I have a couple of crashes and I'll just replace the bars. And he would always tell me like I'm wasting my money. Why am I like getting new bars when they're not cracked or anything? Like I always tell him because I'm freaked out that they're like compromised and they're gonna snap and cut me bad.
Yeah.
And he always said, "Well, look how big I am." I'm like, and I haven't broke any, So, and then when Mario broke his bars, I think he was kind of freaked out because him and Mario
same
had
bars too?
tried the same ones.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. Air Blair is saying here that those segments that are clearing at Area 51 are unbelievable, scary gaps in person. Big, like really big hashtag. That's what Blair says. Alpha MTB saying I'm gonna pass on the carbon bars as well. So yeah, I mean, who knows? That's maybe the safety of this and this new thought process about it might save somebody out there for something that could happen. I mean, that was a close one, Mario. When you aired that on the show, it was like, holy crap. I got a question for you, Tommy, real quick here. Timothy Haley is asking, how are you liking them versus tires? Did you get those bad boys on?
So basically, I just aired them up on my rim, but I didn't put on my bike yet because I didn't swap over the what's it called, Cush Core.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't want to try to do it like myself and not be able to get my tire, and I can't ride tomorrow. So the original plan was to get it all done, but I might bring the wheel and then try to do before the ride or maybe do after the ride. But I got the rim on the tire on my new rim, but I didn't switch over to the Cush Core. Cush Core is like super hard to put on, so I can't do it by myself.
I've heard horror stories of that Cush Core and people throwing their tires across the garage.
Yeah, it's hard to put on. I mean, if you know how to do it, like I've seen people do it and they can knock it out in like 10, 15 minutes, but I can't. Like I could spend 3 hours and won't be able to do it. It's just really hard. Yeah.
Well, you have to let us know when
There's
you
an
get those
art to
on.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool local brand, man. I'm stoked that you're giving them a try.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like pretty stoked to try them out.
That is awesome. Well, obviously everyone here is familiar with you guys, and Tommy, I wanted to take it back to a little bit to your childhood and up, because people may not know that obviously we see you as a successful YouTuber. You got this great squad that we see you every Monday, Tuesday, doing some really cool things. You've got this great restaurant with amazing food, and in talking to you and becoming your friend and knowing you, a lot of that you say is like choices and paths that you've taken, but it always hasn't been the best paths like back when you were a kid. And I know you're big on trying to help the youth. They may make a mistake here and there, but there's always an opportunity to turn it around. But let's go back a little bit to when you were a kid and kind of let us know how that Tommy was coming up, and we'll get to the point where things changed.
Sure. So just a little background about so my parents came from Vietnam in 1975. Like right before the war ended. My father was like a high-ranking officer in the South Vietnamese army, so he was like fighting alongside the Americans against the North Communist Vietnamese, the Viet Cong. So before the Americans decided to pull out of Vietnam, they knew that they had to pull certain people out with them for their safety. My father was one of them because he had like a big mark. Like if he would have stayed back, they would have killed him. So he came to America with my mom. I was born in Utah, so my parents were sponsored by a Mormon family. And then when I was man, I had a good upbringing. I had a lot of love in the family. Like we grew up like religious and everything was good, but I had a lot of like I dealt with racism my whole life. Like I was, and now that I'm older, I mean I completely understand why I went through what I went through. It's just I don't really blame the kids. I mean they didn't know better. They're probably taught by their parents, and I believe that there were valid reasons why their parents were probably racist against Vietnamese people, because back then, if you remember or not, but back in the 70s, and the people were getting drafted to go to war, a war that they didn't want to fight. and people were dying. Like hundreds of thousands of Americans died in that war. It was a senseless war. And so, you know, in their eyes, like, and there were no Vietnamese in America back then, right? So, all that people knew about Vietnamese people were what they saw in these movies, like Vietnamese war movies, and Vietnamese people were portrayed as like just really cold-blooded murderers or whatever. And the one thing that was kind of disappointing with all these war movies is like they always showed like the Americans fighting against the Vietnamese, but they never showed that it was the Americans alongside the South Vietnamese that fought against the North Vietnamese, you know? And I always found that like kind of like disappointing because like a lot of people don't even know that. Like a lot of my family members fought alongside the Americans against the North Vietnamese. So I dealt with a lot of stuff. I mean, I got in so many fights as a kid, like, and I learned, you know, like unfortunately for me, I got like a lot of like a lot of positive feedback for my bad behavior as a kid. Like I was a tough little kid. Like I had an older brother, and a lot of my friends were older, and so I got in a lot of fights. And then in school, like I just never put up with a lot. So like I wouldn't like just let somebody pick on me or whatever. I would fight back.
Yeah.
And although I was small, I was a tough kid. So, you know, I beat up a lot of kids. And I always got like positive reinforcement from that. Like when we go to like family friends' homes, in different towns, they would always, like my cousins or whatever, they'd always have me beat up the younger kids that they couldn't beat up because they were too small. Like if my cousin, let's say, is 13 and it was like an 8-year-old, they can't beat up a little 8-year-old, so he'll have me beat him up because I was 8 years old, you know. So
Gotcha.
I always got like
Send Tommy in.
yeah, that was hey Tommy, like beat up this kid for me. He's like called me a gook or a nip or whatever, and that was like my trigger. And I was like, yeah, I'll tell him like where's he at, and then I would like that. It's just bad. Like I just always had like bad, like positive reinforcement for my bad behavior. It kind of followed me up. When I was 8 years old, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and so he's diagnosed with leukemia. And so we moved from Utah to California because once my dad was diagnosed with leukemia, he couldn't work anymore. He was like in and out of hospital. So we moved to California for two reasons. One, to be with his family because all his family was in California. And then two was there's better care, like medical care for leukemia in California because the doctors in Utah didn't know how to treat it. They never even had a leukemia patient in a hospital before.
Oh wow!
So we moved here for that reason, and then in California was a trip. Is like there's Vietnamese people here because in Utah there's like barely any Vietnamese people at all. Like pretty much we all knew each other. My father, he was the president of. He created a association. He was a president of the Vietnamese Association of Utah. So he created this nonprofit, and what he did was he basically helped all the people, the immigrants from Vietnam, come over to America, like do all the paperwork to get the green card and citizenship and all that stuff. And he never took a dime for it. He always did that just for free. Like like that's what he did. And he's always about like community and things like that. So, you know, as I got older now, like I get why he did all that. And I do my best to do what, you know, in a fraction of what he did, you know, I'll be happy. But so when we were in California, my grandparents, really religious, they enrolled me into CCD, which is like a Catholic school to get my first communion. And as a kid, I didn't really understand like the whole like prayer and stuff like that. So like my dad would get the bread of life, and I would ask him like why does, like after he eats it, why does he like kneel and close his eyes? And so the best explanation my dad could tell me as a kid was that a prayer is like a wish, and that once I get my first communion, whatever I pray for, that first prayer or that first wish is going to come true.
Wow.
So I knew right then and there that my first prayer was gonna be a cure for my dad's cancer,
Oh,
and I
man.
believed like wholeheartedly, 100% that it would come true. I had class every Wednesday night, and my mom spent all her time at the hospital visiting my dad. So she rarely ever took me to school to CCD. I rode my bike almost every week. Even in the rain, I rode my bike, and I remember the teacher pulling me to the side one day and like freaking out because I was soaking wet when I got there. She's like,
Wow.
"Don't ever ride your bike. Like I'll pick you up." But I was kind of embarrassed because we grew up like a really ghetto like apartment, so I didn't
Yeah.
want her to see where I lived. But I'm like, "No,
Mm.
it's fine. Like it's not a big deal." But to me, like going to CCD was like such a like a it was a safe space for me because I felt better there. Because outside of in normal public school, I was like that punk ass kid, and the like I was so again going back to like positive reinforcement for my bad behavior. Like I was super popular at my elementary, junior high, um, and I was a like the bad boy. You know, got into a lot of fights, and I was not a bully. Definitely not a bully. Like I guys that tried to bully me when I first moved to because I went from Santa Barbara, from Utah to Santa Barbara with my grandparents, and then from there we moved to Orange County. We got our little apartment when my dad was able to afford like something small. We were on welfare. We got a tiny little apartment. Like it was 2 bedrooms. Me and my brother shared a room, and my mom, my sister, and my dad shared a room. And we so when I first got into the apartment, like I had to beat a lot of kids up to kind of prove myself. Like there was a lot of, you know, like people try to pick on me, whatever. And so I kind of got a lot more positive reinforcement for being a tough guy, whatever. Like I had like for the reason girls like bad boys, and that's something like I want to make sure that my daughter does not like do that when she gets older. Like so basically like um when for 3 years, like the CCD is going on for 3 years. My dad's health is up and down, up and down, and every night I pray for my dad to hang on until I get my first communion. And basically, um, so the crazy thing is, goes on for 3 years. I visit my dad on my 12th birthday. At this time, he's like in really bad shape. He can't even talk at this moment.
Mm.
Um, and and my first communion is about a week away. And then I just like tell him, just hang on, like you're gonna make it for my first communion. And he's in a hospital, like he's in the intensive care unit at the hospital
Oh,
at
oh,
this moment.
damn.
Yeah, and on the wall he had the drawing that I made for him, like on the wall of his hospital bed.
Oh,
The night before my first communion, I'm praying like, thank God for keeping my dad alive, and I know tomorrow, once I get my first communion, you're gonna cure his cancer. And as crazy as that sounds, I believed it 100% that that would come true. A few hours later, about 3 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings. It was the hospital,
oh,
and my dad passed away.
oh,
I
man.
was, oh, I mean, it woke me up. I heard my mom crying. My grandma wasn't over at the time because of our first communion. I heard him crying, and
Mm.
and they didn't wake us up. I was already awake, like, and then they rushed to the hospital. They didn't say anything to us. But that night, that moment, I literally just lost all faith in God. Like I just didn't care. I didn't believe anything that I was taught was true anymore. Like I just felt
Mm.
like the God that was taught about this loving father, this forgiving father, and all these things that I was taught, I didn't believe it anymore because this God just took away my dad the night before I thought that he would be cured.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think
Damn.
once that happened, I when you don't have like that part of your life, I'm not saying that somebody that doesn't have a god or a religion is a bad person, but I would say it's easier to be a bad person if you don't have God in your life, and that's what happened with me in like a very short period of time. Um, from the age of 12 to my dad died when I was 12, and by the age of 15, I was locked up. You know, and
Wow.
I was like on the streets um, at like, I want to say like 13 or 14 years old. Like the crew that I was rolling with, we carried a gun with us.
Dang. Like
Yeah,
full on gang style, huh, Tommy?
yeah. And I've always hung out with older guys. Like that was just me. My brother's 2 years older than me, so I hung out with like older guys, like his age and stuff. And I was involved in a gang related shooting.
Wow.
I didn't pull the trigger, but I was in the car. Um, and I went in. I served 5 years. I went to juvie first, and then I got sent to CYA. Um, and I think in there it was like such a huge blessing to me because like prior to getting locked up, like I had a really, really bad toxic relationship with my mom. Like we rarely talked. She just always talked down on me. And I
Mhm.
completely understand why. I was really a fucked up son, like somebody that she wasn't proud of, and I didn't believe she loved me or whatever, and I just felt sorry for myself, and I just had a lot of hate in my heart. And
Mhm.
when I was locked up, she would visit me, and she never missed a visit. And unfortunately, me and my brother got busted for the same crime. So she would visit me, and she would visit my brother. Like we're both in juvie together.
Dang.
She had to split
Dang.
up her time, and my dad's passed. Like so, she's
Wow.
grieving on my dad's passing, and then she's visiting both of her sons. It was really tough, and you know, that was when the first time I realized my mom loved me because she never missed a visit. And there was a lot of kids
Wow.
there that didn't get visits, like a lot of them.
Wow.
And I was one of the few that got visits every time. And it was a blessing because I got to sit like during visiting, like you sit on a bench, like the parents sit on one side of the bench and the inmates sit on the other side of the bench. And you're forced to just look at each other and talk, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's something that people don't do these days.
True.
So it was like it was a true blessing that I basically amended my relationship with my mom, and
Wow.
and uh, and then I had like religious visitors come in, and originally I would just go to these Bible studies to get out of the room, basically.
Mm.
But then once I would go to these Bible studies, there's something in me like that I had pushed away for the last few years, like kind of open my heart back up to God and to realize like because I think for a few years I just kind of felt like this was my destiny. Like I was destined to become a criminal. I was destined to become this punk ass that was gonna be locked up for the rest of his life. And then one moment I just felt like, what, like this was all meant to be. And um just just how my life kind of turned upside down, I could turn my life back in a good
Wow.
way. So
Do you remember that moment when you felt that? When you felt that thought?
I can't really say that there was a moment, but I do remember that there was a guy, his name is Gus, he was an inmate, and I always told him, like, I can't believe that you used to be a gangbanger, because he's such a like good person, he has such a good heart. And I always told myself, like, I can't wait till the day that when I tell somebody I was locked up, they don't believe me. And that's the thing now. Like everybody that I tell now, they can't believe that I was locked up. So it's pretty crazy that up until recently, I really didn't talk about it. Just like only my really good friends and stuff like that knew about my past. But I think now that um, I kind of have a platform, I kind of want to like as much as I feel uncomfortable talking about it, I put it out there because I think there's a lot of good that can come from my experience. Like
Absolutely.
um,
A
yeah.
absolutely. Holy cow, Tommy. I mean, to have your father ripped away, from you at the age of 12, just before your first communion, and, I mean, that would be tough for every single person
Yeah.
that's here tonight, but to have it happen to you at that time, and then for you to go, like, all chips in, on the bad boy Tommy, and a lot of folks seem to go down that road. And I know you're back into juvenile hall as sometimes as a lecturer, as a motivator for these kids, because not everybody gets that moment where they feel like as quickly as I turn my life upside down, I can therefore turn it right back up.
Yeah.
And I love that you do that. How does it feel when you're going into those places talking to these kids? And do you feel that maybe you're helping tilt some of these kids from upside down to right side up?
Yeah, definitely. The funny thing is, like, when I was locked up, I mean, we had volunteers come in, and I always knew that one day I would come back and speak to the kids in there. I always, and at one point in my life, I thought I was gonna be like either a correction officer, probation officer, or work inside juvenile hall. That's what I wanted to do when I was in there, um, and that's so, like, when I go in there, I kind of just, and there's different approaches that you could take, with certain people. There are guys that come in there all hard or whatever and try to scare people. And I used to do that when I was in YA, we had a program called Scared Straight. And what that program, they would bus a bunch of kids that are always getting in trouble, and they would come in our little auditorium, and there'd be like 5 of us or 6 of us, whatever, and then we basically like scare them straight, or try to scare them straight, um but I never liked that like approach, because I don't want somebody to not do something because they're scared of the consequences. Like, I kind of
Yeah.
want to go the approach of, like, they don't want to do it just because it's wrong, or there's other ways of thinking about, and your consequences of what you do is going to affect like the rest of your life. I used to speak at a church when I got out, so crazy how life works. But that CCD, that teacher I told you that like
Saw you
pulled
in
me
the rain.
aside and
Yeah.
wanted me to, she later became like director of the Catholic school. And
Wow.
one day I was at church, and I guess she saw me go up for my first communion. This was like a year or two after after I got out.
Wow.
And
Like this is 6, 7 years later
yeah,
from
so
your
she, oh
dad's
my
passing.
God, like, it's Tommy. She looked to see where I went back, like where I sat down after church. She ran over to me, started crying, and she, oh my God, I'm so happy you're out. And then so we always kept in touch, and every year I would talk. Every other year I would talk to the junior high kids that are graduating and going to high school, and I would talk about my experience and the decisions that I made and the friends that I chose to hang out with. And thank God for me, I didn't really get into drugs or anything like that. But I know the big problem nowadays is kids getting into drugs. So I mean, it could be anything, but it's just like your choices as a kid. Like, sometimes you don't really think. You don't think when you're a kid. You don't think about the consequences, And I think that's something important. Like, unfortunately, that we, like, for me as a parent, like, that's all I care about. Like, I just want to make sure that they have what I didn't have.
Yeah.
Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. No, that's great, Tommy, to help provide for them and help show them the right choices. Man, for you to have that and to go through that full circle is incredible to see you here. And you definitely reach the point when you say that I used to be in juvenile hall, I used to be locked up. You're definitely arrived to the point where people are like, get out of here, Tommy. No way. No way. We see the successful restaurant owner, the successful YouTuber, the incredible squad that you have bombing down all these hills in California. It's just amazing. But now you're at a point where you have this platform where you're making an impact on these folks with your story. It's so cool. Do
Yeah,
you
I
do
think,
you
like,
rem-
right now it's just like a weird time where you got all this like hate towards police, and is so crazy, because I was one of those kids that would say F the police and this and that, and it's so crazy now, because like I have so much respect for police. And like I actually talk with the lieutenant of the Orange County Sheriff's Department, and we talk about doing something. There's a lot of red tape, but like I host the Coffee with Cops at my restaurant. I was doing that every year, but then since COVID, there's all these restrictions now that they can't really do it. So I'm hoping that we could do it again next year. But I have the utmost like respect for police officers, you know, and especially now with all this bullshit with the defunding the police and all that stuff, it just gets me so pissed off because, you know, it's just like we need law, we need order, you know, we need police
Yeah.
to we have laws for a reason, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm all about like prevention. Like if anything, like we need to put our time and resources into kids and hopefully reach them before they become a gang member, you know.
Mhm.
But you know, once they become
I think we lost Tommy. I think Tommy's internet is going a little bit. Mario, did you know a lot of Tommy's backstory?
I did. Like he mentioned earlier, we share some history as I have the same past, so it opened up a nice pathway just to to share some personal, some touching
Yeah.
feelings along with um variable like a lot of close situations we've shared. But
Yeah.
I'm not a father and everything, but he seems to be a real good dad.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always talking about his kiddos and making
Yeah.
sure that he's providing opportunities for them that he didn't have, which is awesome. I I love the fact that he talks about people in his life that really started to guide him towards bringing his life back upright again. It's cool. There was the teacher, obviously, that was in his life and looking after him. I love the fact that there was the mom when he was locked up. You know, she wouldn't miss a single
Yes.
visit, and
It
he
just
had
fell into place just
yeah.
naturally.
Yeah. Like, no distractions, had a moment to really, like, see her, talk with her, connect, and it sounded like he's talking about connection, just people good people connecting with him.
That's what
Oh,
it is. Things just turn around. Things turn around for the good. Everything we not necessarily regret what we did when we were younger kids, but we just basically learned and prospered and made the best from them.
yeah, yeah. Tommy, we were just talking Mario and I were just talking about when people make changes to do things and make proper, choices to help advance their livelihood, their life, their happiness. It seems like there's always like a connection. Like there's somebody that comes into your life and kind of connects with you and kind of reaches, and gets into your mind or somehow is able to get in touch with your heart that really starts to make those moves happen for the person. And it sounds like that connection is what happened to you both.
yeah, yeah.
That's very cool. Do you remember the folks that were, pivotal for you, Tommy, when you were going to the point of getting your life from upside down to right side up? Obviously, we were saying
Yeah,
how your mom never missed a visit, which was great.
yeah, definitely. Like number one is my mom, and I have an aunt who's like my second mom to me. But also there was like like teachers and stuff. So there's Miss Blucher was my fifth grade teacher when all the other teachers like didn't really like me. I got in a lot of fights when I was in like elementary and junior high. Um, so the only thing that kept me from getting expelled at my junior high was a couple of teachers like Miss Blucher and then Mr. and Mrs. Foster. Like they stuck up for me because when my dad passed away, like they just said he's just acting out. Like don't kick him out of school. He's just like whatever. But they kind of believed in me. But when I was locked up, I had he's like a mentor, I guess what you would call it. But he was a Catholic volunteer. He came in every week, every Thursday
Hmm.
night for Bible study,
Hmm.
and sometimes it would just be me and him, you know. But he came in every Thursday night, and I would be there every Thursday night, and we became like really close. And he was actually my sponsor when I got confirmed.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. But I have like a lot of people in my life, thank God, there's a lot of positive, a lot of now, like I'm getting more positive reinforcement for my positive behaviors,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's really good. And had a question for you, Tommy. Alpha MTB is asking, Tommy, were you or are you or have you been or will you be open to the kids about your past? I have a similar history, thankfully, not ending up in jail, but definitely lots of trouble growing up.
Yeah, for sure. So I met another mountain biker that came to my restaurant, and I believe like everything happens for a reason. But this was just a week ago, and we just ended up talking, and he told me that he is a teacher at a private school in Murrieta.
Oh,
And
no way.
and I told him that I would do they do any programs or anything like that? Like I would love to like kind of share my experience or whatever. If they have something like that, and he's like, "Oh, for 100%," because he didn't ask me. Like I just kind of just threw it out there if they do anything like that. And he said, "Yeah, he's gonna try to make it happen." So I think like I said before, like this is something like I kind of just I didn't really talk about it too much through the last like you know 15, 20 years. But I guess as my kids were, I didn't want my kids to know about it, but they both know now about my past. So now like it's not like that was really the thing that I always kept it a secret because I didn't want them to find out about me being like a punk ass. And I always told them like I was a straight A student in high school and all that shit. But uh so now like I feel like it I just hear so many people tell me that like I could help a lot of people by sharing my story. So um as much as I feel uncomfortable talking about it, like if I could help somebody not go through the same thing, then I'm like 100% for it, you know?
Yeah,
hmm
that's awesome, man. That's super awesome. Bomber Crew saying mad respect for Tommy. Heck yeah, mad respect for both of you. Trail Monster says, thank you for supporting us first responders with a $20 donation to the show. Good Lord. Thank you, Trail Monster. And Eric Blair with a 1999 super sticker coming in for you for your story there, Tommy. You were definitely talking. Thank you, Blair. And you were definitely talking about the first responders before it cut out there. But you were
Yeah.
saying you were hoping to host the boys in brass again for the coffees. But you were starting to say something else that you were doing for the folks out there, first responders. I know you'd done stuff with the fire department. There was a
Yeah,
sheriff
I
you
think
were talking to.
yeah, so I mean like on a weekly basis, my wife and I donate food to like there's like three different fire stations all nearby my restaurant. So for us, like we don't want to throw away food. So like when we have like leftovers and stuff, we always like pack, a few different things and we'll go and deliver it to them. So they're always super appreciative, and it's 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 something that we try to do like on a weekly basis. And we do it with the sheriff's department too. The sheriff's department is like 5 minutes away from our restaurant. My restaurant's been broken in 3 times.
Oh
And
man,
I know it sucks, dude.
jeez,
But I know. But it is what it is. Like um I have to try not to dwell on it. But
right.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's great, like you were saying, the whole, defund the police and all that movement is so tough
hmm
when they're here to protect and serve, and obviously you get a couple bad apples, but they're not all that way. And in fact, my best
hmm
friend growing up was behind the he's in the blue, so
Yeah.
obviously good people out there
Yeah,
trying to protect and serve us,
for sure.
which is so cool. Um, I also wanted to ask you, Tommy, so you're going through all these things, but when did the whole restaurant idea come to
Um,
your mind? Like, were you cooking this whole time, or
yeah.
where did this
This is a
come
crazy
from? Because it's
I know,
freaking
crazy,
delicious.
crazy, crazy story. So growing up, like So like growing, I had like a mix of friends. So I hung out more of like non-Vietnamese kids growing up, especially Utah. Obviously, there was no Vietnamese kids. But like when I moved to California, all my friends were mixed. Like I did have Vietnamese friends, but majority of my friends were either white or Mexican or black. So just the neighborhood that I grew up with, that's who lived in that area. I didn't ever really see race. Like it was never a thing with me. I think for me, like being dealing with racism my whole life, that's something that I just never really like wanted to. I didn't see it in other people. So friends would always trip out on my mom's food, um, like how good it was, and they always say like, um, I don't know what if I'm on what. Sorry, I'm tripping out because I think my computer's back up. But I wasn't sure like what. Uh, so when I was younger, I told my mom that one day I would open a restaurant for her, and that's something like I said it as a kid, but I didn't ever thought that I would be able to do it, you know? So when I got out, I got my life back together. I mean, I worked like dead end jobs. There was a point that I was working 3 jobs, and you have to understand, I grew up super poor. My mom, when my dad passed away, she got herself through college. She took the bus to go to school.
Dang.
Yeah, when we didn't have a car, like we were on welfare, like it was bad. And she got a job as a teacher's aide at a high school.
Oh wow.
So we didn't have money. So when I got out, like I worked like 3 jobs. I would help my mom with rent and everything. um and eventually I got into like the mortgage industry, and I got in it right before the big boom, like and I did really well for myself. And then, so once I had the money to open up a restaurant, I did. Like, and so really the reason I opened a restaurant is mainly for my mom, to like Vietnamese culture. Like, so the thing is, like, till this day, like our relationship is much, much closer, and she does hug me and here and there, but she still like, she won't tell me she loves me when I know that she does, but it's just something that like Vietnamese people just don't do much.
Mm.
Um,
More of a
but
culture.
it's a culture thing, but like she shows me her love by cooking for me. Like that's how Vietnamese people show love, is cooking and feeding, you know.
Mm.
Um, and so like she loves to cook, and all that. And that's something that I just wanted to do. My aunt, which is her younger sister at the time, had cancer, and it was stage 4.
Oh
And
man.
at that moment, like I just felt like, this is the time. Like I have the money, I have the resources. My aunt's about to pass away, and so my wife was all for it, and we had zero, dude, absolutely no experience with restaurant business at all. We had no idea what we're doing. We just I don't know if it's like God's will, whatever it was. Like we just decided to do it, and it worked out. Like it was like the best decision that I ever made. Um, Money is not great, like we've never had like, unfortunately, like the first few years of any restaurants, it's really hard. You struggle. Um, and so the first 3 years were really hard. Um, and then by the third year, we started doing really well. And then the pandemic hit.
Mm.
Yeah, like a few months later. And it's been like 2 years of that shit right now.
Yeah.
So I had the restaurant for 5 years, and we literally only had like a few months of good times. It's been like rough but we get by. It's not like we're losing money every month. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
But we're profitable. But but the amount of time and effort that we put into it's just crazy. Like we're there all day, every day. You know,
Dang.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like it's one of those things that it's rewarding. To
Mm.
see people's reactions. Like we meet like the coolest customers. Like we made so many good friends that are customers. So it's like it goes beyond just a business. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Lifestyle.
yeah, just
Yeah.
having people eat your family's food. Like it's all, so the restaurant, all the recipes everything on the menu is my family's recipes.
No
So this is
way.
what, yeah,
That's where that comes from? Oh,
yeah.
dang.
So like my grandma passed it down to my mom passed it down to me. And to be honest with you, I never cooked before. So I learned how to cook once I opened the restaurant from my mom. Like it was crazy. Like a month before we opened up, we're like cooking and it was fucking chaos because we didn't have my mom does not cook with measurements. So it's not like a cup of this, a cup of that. It was literally by taste. And she never cooked for restaurants. So she never cooked at that scale because when she cooks at home, it's like a small little pot of this, small pot of that. But restaurant, you got to cook a huge pot. So it's just really hard at first to cook because it didn't taste like right before we opened, we started panicking because things didn't taste the way that it tastes at home. And finally, we just got it like, so I had to write stuff down and get things right. And it's been good, you know. And it's been a work in progress. I would say our food is much better now than it was the first year because we're inconsistent, you know.
Got it.
But it's been an awesome. And for me, I think like my wife, she's a perfectionist. She stresses out when we get like super busy. We really balance each other out because for me, like I think for me, just everything that's gone in my life, I always feel like I feel comfortable when things are chaotic, I guess. Kind of weird. But I kind of thrive under pressure. So it's good, you know, it's good for me. Like I enjoy it. I love it.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's like telling me a lot about the mountain biking there too.
Yeah,
You know, thriving
for
under
sure.
pressure, relax
Yeah,
under stress.
yeah, yeah, for
It
sure.
I love the fact that, you know, your mom, you bought the restaurant for your mom and your aunt, and your mom was it's like all the recipes that your family had, and your
Mhm.
mom shows her love by cooking, and she's actually showing you love by teaching you how to cook, and, like,
Yeah,
you get to share it with all of us who come out
yeah,
and ride the mountain bike and then stop by the restaurant. She is, like, signaling, beaconing love now
yeah, for
everywhere.
sure. And that's the thing. Like I can see it in her, and she doesn't tell me. That's the craziest thing. She doesn't tell me how proud she is of me, but she tells it to everybody. Like she tells my wife all the time. So it's really cool. Like I know, like I disappointed her my whole life when I was a kid, and so now to be able to make it up to her and have her be proud is like it just means the world to me. You know?
Man, I
Yeah.
I love it. Alpha MTB saying, "Is this show making anyone else hungry?" So, so we had a question from Marty Octodad, who is out in New Zealand, and I know they've got some great food out there. Marty wants to know, what is your signature dish? It looks like Joey's got it up here.
Okay, so like definitely that's pho. So it's probably one of our most popular dishes. Pho is a noodle soup, and it's pretty much everybody's introduction to Vietnamese food. It's like the hamburger of American food. So it's a noodle soup. Most restaurants will use like a flank steak or as their meat of choice. We use filet mignon.
Oh,
But the big difference with our pho versus the way that all the restaurants cook their pho is normally pho is made with onions, ginger, and then bones, the beef bones, and then they get the rest of the flavoring comes from a bouillon, which is like artificial flavoring. It's similar to like if you do like cup of noodles, you have that packet of powder and you add it to water, and all of a sudden your water turns to ramen broth, you know? So that's how a lot of restaurants make their pho broth. For us, we use the ginger, we use the onions, we use the bones, but we don't use the bouillon, we don't use MSG. All of our herbs that we add are all real herbs. So we use real peppercorns, real corner seeds, fennel seeds. We use cinnamon sticks, licorice bark. So all these things are like real, and we boil the water. We simmer for 6 hours to get all the flavor out. It takes a lot longer to cook, but you get a much more rich flavor, and it's more healthy because all the stuff in it has it's good for you. It's good for your immune system, good for your digestive system. It's good for your bones. There's a lot of glucosamine and collagen in pho,
wow.
so I honestly believe it's a big factor in why I'm able to bounce back from injuries or crashes so quickly. You know.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and and you definitely, I think you were fasting, if I remember right. You would fast and have like one meal a day. Are you still but when
Yeah.
you eat, you were like I see the table, a picture of a table full of food. I'm like, that's got to be for the whole squad, Mario and Chris. And Tommy will be like, nah, man, this is all mine.
Yeah, I've been fat. I've been eating 1 meal a day now for like 5 years. It's just So before the restaurant, I was actually really fat. Like I weighed 180. I think my peak was 189. Like I'm only 5'5", so that's a lot for a short dude, you know. But I ate a lot of fast food before and things like that. And I had to, like, I own a mortgage company, so they pretty much sit on my ass all day at the mortgage company. Throughout the years, I just gained a lot of weight. But with the restaurant, like eating there, healthy, and then fasting, and just transform myself, and obviously writing. But it's definitely, it's pretty crazy when sometimes I look back at my old pictures, like how unhealthy I was when I didn't think I was. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that stuff sneaks up on you. I remember seeing your before and after pictures.
Yeah.
For the folks who may not know this, and we'll definitely bring Mario back on because Mario has got a product too that he's putting out there and people are loving. But Air Blair is saying that now you had mentioned earlier your restaurant was broken into like 3 times. Obviously, it hopefully is never ever going to be a mountain biker. Hopefully, all of us mountain bikers are always there to support and have some great food. But Blair is saying Tommy offered one of the guys that broke into his restaurant a job. Is that for real?
Yeah. So what happened was I actually wrote a letter and I posted on the window. Because what happened was, like, we when the alarm went off, we had to drive down. I lived in Long Beach at the time. It's like an hour drive to get there, and um, I like wrote a letter just if he came back. Like, listen, if you're hungry, I'll feed you and break the window. Because I'm thinking, well, why would someone break into a restaurant? You know?
Yeah.
But I sincerely mean that, because I feel like, you know, I got a second chance in life, and just to give a little background, I hired a lot of people from prison that work in my kitchen, and I have 2 people now that's with me, but over the years I've had like maybe 10, and so these are guys that's, you know, I don't really believe in handouts, like, but I believe in like second chances, and I believe to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know. And I'm not just gonna hire somebody just because they've been in prison and to do all that. It's more of they have experience in the kitchen or things like that, and they have a drive, or they want to better themselves. I'm 100% for that, and if I'm able to give somebody a job, get them off the streets, or help them provide for their family without committing a crime, then I'm doing something good for them, and I'm doing something good for the community, you know?
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's not something I like to advertise, because I don't want people, like, again, not to support my restaurant because I hire, you know, people from prison. But, you know, it's something that I'm really proud that I do. And trust me, we've had some issues with that. You know, we had a guy pull a knife on somebody in the kitchen. We've had fights in there. You know, when you've done a lot of time, there's a lot of like rules that people have, and when you grow up in there, like, it's a different life, you know. So some things can be triggering that people, like, that's never been locked up, they don't understand. And I see it now more than ever with like the internet, like these like trolls or like internet warriors. They could feel free to talk shit or whatever and have no consequences, you know. But, like, you know, growing up in there, I think like respect is a big thing. So like when I did that, like, I was hoping like that would have been the greatest story of all. Like, the guy breaks in my restaurant, I hire him a job and forgive him. Like, I was hoping, but either one, he never came back, or he just maybe came back and saw that letter and decided not to break in again and felt bad for me. I don't know, but I was hoping that he would have took me up on the offer. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people now, like, you know, there's opportunists. Like, I feel like all the riots that happened in the last couple of years, it had nothing to do with like Floyd, and it was just more of just an opportunity to loot, you know, which it's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, there's definitely like pressures and stresses like bubbling over for certain things, looking for an
Mhm.
outlet. And sometimes it's not always for the right reasons, which is always tough. You definitely got a couple mad respects here. AJ says mad respect. You guys are great. You also got one here from a Jamie. I'm gonna mess this up. I'm sorry, brother. Jamie Tatenko says mad respect, bro, which is awesome. Alpha MTB says much respect, brother. Love that you did that. You know, that is really cool. And obviously for the restaurant, your food is so great and so good. Like you said, if they're talented, if they have drive, if they're trying to change things, having that on their resume that they were once locked up isn't something that's going to turn them away from you.
Yeah.
You're going to see that second chance and the fact that they have experience, which is amazing. Go ahead, Tommy.
Well, I was gonna say like a lot of times like these guys that they get out or whatever, um they don't have the opportunity to get a job, or it's hard for them to get a job because of their criminal record, you know. And as much as they, you know, I would say like unfortunately the majority of people that get out end up committing crimes and go back in. But there's a small percentage of people that don't want to go back to that lifestyle. They don't want to gangbang, and they don't want to go back to drugs. They don't want to commit crimes. They don't want to go back. Period. They just want a legitimate life. Um, but it's really hard for them to do that because, like, no employer. Everybody wants a background check and all that stuff. So it's hard for them. As much as they want to, they can't get a job. And so now what? You know, they just go back to life of crime. So that's why for me, it's like if somebody really wants it, like I'll give them that opportunity, you know. And some of the people that I gave the opportunity with, like they didn't last long. Like I'm not gonna. It's not a charity. Like they have a job, they have to be there on time, and I'll give them a couple warnings and then I'll fire them, you know. So it's not like, hey, um, you know, just show up and I'm gonna coddle you, whatever, because you've been locked up. And I understand. No, it's like this is your job. You got to show up on time. And if they're late, I go, okay, well that's how it works. You know, there's traffic, whatever. Just make sure you know leave earlier and things like that. But it's just I think most people just want to do right, but sometimes they don't have the opportunity to do that. So if I'm
Yeah.
able to provide that, then I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Let's bring Mario back on the show, Joey, and let's talk about obviously Mario. When you went offline there for a second, Mario and I were talking, and you guys are similar with the backgrounds. You guys have talked about that, and Mario is actually putting out a new product that's hitting it out there, and it's Mario. Let the folks know what you're working on.
Yes, it's just a basically good hot sauce. It's one's a jalapeno, one's an original, and then one's a spicy habanero. It's a family recipe, I would say. 6 locations, San Pedro Fish Market. Been around since 1956.
Dang, it's been in your family for that long?
Yeah,
Wow.
brother, my brother-in-law's his great grandfather did it,
There
and
it
there it
is.
is there.
There it is right
San Pedro
there.
Fish Market.
So of those, Tommy, have you tried all of those? I'm assuming you must have.
Yeah, yeah.
Which one would you recommend to somebody looking for some hot sauce?
They're all really good, but the green one's good.
Yeah, that one's your favorite one?
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Mario, when you put this together, when you and your family put this together and you got it out there, obviously this is also a labor of love coming from your family. Did you have one that was like your favorite one of those, or do you use one for
I
each?
mix some. I
Oh
kind of
yeah.
mix some. I like to mix the green, the jalapeno with the habanero. It's a little spicy and everything too, but it has a good ratio.
Dang.
And then there's the seasoning rub, and there's a good fish rub that we use the French fries, garlic bread, and of course the seafood. And then the jar is the michelada mix, of course, to add with the beer. That's a michi mix.
Dang.
Pretty good stuff.
Dang. Dang. And right now, the place you can get it is at the San Pedro Fish Market or San
Any
Pedro.
of our locations, yeah.
Gotcha.
On .com, yeah, online or any of the 6 locations. I work on each location, so I love to know anybody in that area. Pretty much there 6 days a week. Pretty cool. We just hit our 2-year anniversary there. We made it through COVID like Tommy and everybody was tough, but
dang, you guys, entrepreneurs, man, and tough. Obviously, amazing writers, amazing life stories, resilient guys, talented writers. Tommy and Mario, if a kiddo falls upon this episode and they're in that time in their life where things are falling apart, it's rough, and they really feel it in their heart to change, what's something that you guys would be able to say to that person to help them get to that other side?
What I'll go first. What I would say is basically just have fun. Don't worry about the next person being better or a different color or a different type of energy. Just it's a good community. Just communicate. Just go out there, have fun, and everything will fall into place. Just there's no room for hatred. It's all about having fun and just learning from each other.
Nice. I like that, Mario.
Mhm.
That's good. That takes a lot of the stresses and anxieties away and just enjoying what we have out there on and off the bike, which is great.
Definitely.
It's awesome. Tommy, what about you? What would you say to a kiddo who may be in a bad place, but trying to look at better days?
I would say just I would say that God always has a plan, and as much as things are bad at the moment, you just have to have faith in God that there's a reason why you're going through that shit that you're going through. And of all, for every bad thing that happens, there's a reason behind it. There's a lesson to be learned. There's every single one of my mistakes or every bad thing comes good from it. Sometimes it's hard to see, but I believe that like tough times create strong men, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Mhm.
And so it's one of those things that for kids sometimes they don't really get or understand what's happening or whatever. They tend to a lot of times feel sorry for themselves, but just try not to blame God, I guess, or don't look at the worst in everything. Just try to find the positive in things. It is probably one of the biggest factors that changed my life around.
That's awesome, man. Love that. I love that. And then knowing that you can change. You don't have to be tied to that identity that you had before. You can make a change, and that's okay. Trail Monster here is saying, Tommy, until I get a chance to get over and dine at your restaurant, here's a little something to support my MTB brother. I'm 100% sure Mark will get it over to you. Thank you for sharing your story. Absolutely, Trail Monster. This is all going over to Tommy, and yeah, this is
Not necessary. Just come and support it. That's your Mark.
no. But yeah, thank you so much, Trail Monster. Really appreciate it. Tommy and Mario, I know you guys, your ride days is Mondays, Tuesdays. I'm sure an awesome video is coming up from these days, but let everybody know, if they haven't yet already, where can they follow you guys?
So my YouTube channel is just my name, I guess. It's Tommy Huynh. And then my Instagram is at T_Rex_MTB.
Nice.
Yep, there it is.
Give these guys a follow if you haven't already. Watch these guys. They are doing some amazing things and progressing. And keep in mind, when they're doing these things, they've been checked over. They're looking at everything through safety and before they send it. And 100%, I know that firsthand. I've ridden with Tommy at Summit, and I hadn't been out there. Tommy really told me through a bunch of stuff. He gave me a lot of good information before I was able to go down those trails. Timothy Hayes is definitely going to make that 2-hour drive at the restaurant. He's coming over from the Magic Mountain area, which would be, Tim, you would love it. It is so good. Trail Monster says, I'm in Arizona. Might be a while before I get out that way. But hey, if you do, it is totally worth it. My favorite dish is the shaken beef, everybody. If you haven't had a chance, you gotta get the shaken beef. I love that. Alpha MTB says, Tommy, going to try to get out to the restaurant this weekend with the crew. Yeah, there it is right there.
Thank you.
Alpha MTB is part of the bomber crew. So if they
Oh,
come
yeah.
in, if you see the full parking lot fill up, you know who came by.
Hell yeah.
Tommy, where are you guys riding before we end the show? Where are you guys riding tomorrow and the next day? Well, I don't know if you're allowed to say, but
yeah. Well, tomorrow it's Big Booty Chris's. We're doing a birthday ride for Chris, so we're gonna be riding See Me tomorrow. And then I'm kind of sick, so I don't even know like how many laps I'm gonna be able to do. But we're gonna just go riding and barbecue at his house afterwards. So and that's a cool thing about like everything is like it's like we ride, but then just the friendship is like the brotherhood is like it's what's really cool.
Yeah, I love it. The gift that we get from mountain biking and bonding with each other and progressing, and that whole iron sharpens iron,
Yeah, 100%.
You guys are awesome. Tommy, thank you so much for sharing your story and motivating and inspiring people here on the show today and people who'll find the show in the future, especially the youth. I know the youth is out there with everything going on right now. It'll be great when they find your voice and Mario's too. So thank you both for being on. Mario, where can people, again, remind people where they can buy the hot sauce?
SanPedroFishMarket.com, online, basically, and anywhere on the internet.
But they have like a bunch of restaurants throughout Southern California.
Yes.
Mario works in the one in Long Beach. That's a really nice one. That I used to go to that one a lot. And then they have a nice one, a huge one in San Pedro. But yeah.
Those locations.
Beautiful.
Excellent. Guys, give that hot sauce a chance. You will love it, as well as hit up Monarch 9 if you're in the area, Southern California area riding. Say hi to Tommy. Most likely the boys will be in there. Tommy for sure is always around. And try all the dishes, but the shaken beef would be my recommendation for you all. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for being on the episode. Tommy and Mario, great to see you guys. Be safe, have fun tomorrow, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, dude.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
See you guys.
Tomorrow.
Hey, later.